Good morning, everyone. So it is a bit chilly this morning, but we are really, really pumped. I'm really excited to see Lynn's presentation. And yes, good morning, Lynn. And the stage is all yours.
Thank you. That's great. I'm really excited today to bring you my little book of well-being. So I'm just going to share screens with you now. See how that rolls. Share screen. Okay. Actually, I don't know that you can see that. Did that work? Host disabled, participate screen sharing. No. I need you to share the screens for me, Muriel. I can't share the screen.
Okay. Hang on just 1 minute. So what is it saying here? Share screen.
Yeah.
Share. But it's not mine that I want to share. So no, that is mine sharing.
That's your screen.
It is my screen.
Yeah. And it's just chilly this morning. Totally right.
Oh, hang on. So how do I get out of that? Don't worry, we will clean up. Kim, how do I go back to my thing? I just have the pictures on the side now. Can you hear me, Kim?
What's it? Yeah, I'm just trying to unmute. How do you make it go back to what?
I just want to go back to my meeting.
Oh, stop. So take your mouse right to the top and you'll get like the stop sharing option.
You.
So yeah, if you scroll right to the top, it should like jump down and say stop sharing. Yeah.
Here I'm back, but that doesn't help me to doing it again where people cannot share the screen. You know why?
I can't remember what we did the other day to make it do that.
I don't see you. I can't see you.
Yeah, but I don't want to be me sharing the screen. I want to, okay, yep, got it. Does this work? Don't worry, we will clean up, huh, Lynn, the video. Yeah. We trimmed the video.
Good.
Can you share now?
I'll have a look and see if I can share now. Looks like it, yes.
That's funny, since we've changed the settings, Kim, to go to...
Yeah, we'll go in the settings and have a look at that.
Maybe we start all over again, Lynn, so I can just do a presentation. Just I present you, and then can you just jump out and we start, and the VAs will just clean it up there?
Yep.
Sorry, so if you can just come back, or we just leave it like that? Or do you want to come back full screen? And I present you? Or...
Do you want me to stop sharing?
Yeah, maybe we just go back to the beginning because we're going to trim it.
Okay.
And you just say it the way you are, and I'm just going to speak, and I just say hello.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll trim from there. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So good morning, everyone. Today we've got a beautiful Lynn that is going to do her presentation. And yes, the stage is all yours, Lynn.
Thank you so much. I really look forward to bringing to you today a little book of well-being, because what's really, really important is that we have well-being conversations with our young people. So, or with everybody that we get to meet. How this book actually came about was that it was COVID-19, so that is a viral infection that we can all experience at this point in time. And when I was listening to the news, it was all about the unhealthy population in relation to COVID-19. And I was talking to my young granddaughter, and she said, you know, how can we get the message out there all about well-being? So we actually decided to do, last school holidays, we did a 14-day well-being lives. So we did the 14 days, and each 14 days, and my granddaughter did it with me as well, we did a different activity all around well-being, and we had so much fun doing it, and we just got into this amazing creative mode between the two of us. So we've created a little book of well-being for you, which is really cool. So what we've done is we've created some posters. So what we decided we needed to do first was to share with people what the elements of well-being are, because it's really, really important to actually understand those elements. And when we were talking about it between the two of us, we had to brainstorm and think about all of the elements that actually link to our well-being. So of course, we've come up with drinking plenty of water, being physically active, connecting to our emotions, getting enough sleep, relaxing, laughing and friendship, getting enough oxygen and air, connecting to our thinking, and eating healthy. So there might be other elements of well-being that other people use, but these are the ones that we thought for us were the key elements of well-being. So, and you can actually print this off. So we've actually printed it off on A3 paper and A4 paper and laminated them, and we use them as our placemats at dinner time, which is really cool. I wouldn't actually mind having some made up. Or you can put it around the office. At my office at work, we have these posters at work as well around our office, so we can understand and link to having well-being. So I work with young people, so I use this poster with young people, and I get them to choose which element of well-being they'd like to focus on today. So I've also got a friend who does coaching, so she's printed this off, and with her coaching clients, she also uses the book to talk about well-being. So she's really expanded her coaching business now into a well-being model as well. So that was really exciting. But what's important once we understand the elements of well-being is actually to combine them. So we're creating well-being experiences. So we've created some here for you. So getting fresh air, exercise, and having fun. You can see the child skipping, because that's increasing her well-being, because it's really important to know what increases our well-being, what decreases our well-being, and what centers our well-being. So it gives us an opportunity to connect with ourselves, and that's what it's all about, is about connecting with ourselves and understanding what well-being means for us. So, and there's some great fun ones as well. I like the one with the people having the picnic, because, you know, they're eating good food, they're relaxing, they're getting that fresh air, and they're having fun. So what they've created there is a quality experience, which is really great. So it's about having that conversation about having a well-being experience. So it's a different way of having a conversation with people. The next one we did was all about our well-being interview. So we took all of the elements of well-being and we actually created an interview from that. So we then could put the questions next to the pictures to go and ask. And we did lots and lots of these in our Facebook Lives and different groups that we've attended. We did a workshop on it as well. And we did the wellbeing interview around that. So because it's just great to be able to connect with people and have those conversations. Then we came up with a wellbeing recipe. So, you know, ingredients. So what are the ingredients for a recipe? You know, it's a bit like baking a cake or a bit like making a slice. We need to know what the ingredients are. So we decided on this particular recipe, and this is just an example. We've actually created more wellbeing recipes with different elements, just to start once again having those wellbeing connections. So eating healthy food, drinking water, fresh air, exercise, but then it's the method that counts. So, and this is where you can just have some fun with it. So I use a model called PACE, which stands for playfulness, acceptance, curiosity, and engaging. So, you know, it's important to get into that playful space and have some fun with it. So, you know, select 1 or 2 wellbeing ingredients, combine and create a wellbeing experience, start simple, set small achievable goals, talk with a friend or someone in the family, enjoy the learning, and celebrate your small steps. So you can see how when I work with young people that they create their own wellbeing recipe. And I did a workshop where we did this exact same activity. So I put up the first one, which was the poster, and then I got them to create their own recipe for them. So they're connecting wellbeing for what they want for themselves, but also what they want for their family as well. So great conversation tool. We then got into the interview mode, in all honesty, at that point in time when we were doing our Facebook Lives. And we had our little niece over at that point in time, and she was 2. And we were talking about all the different interviews that we could do. And she says, you need to do a laughing interview. I said, cool. So I said, what that looks like? And she says, you know, what makes you laugh? And this is a 2-year-old. What makes you laugh? So, and if you watch the Facebook Live, she shares that with you. And because she was so keen to be on the Facebook Live with us, I said, yeah, sure, you can come and be on the Facebook Live. So it was just interesting. She just had no fear of this Facebook Live and what that was going to look like. She was just happy to jump on board and talk to everybody online. I think there's a lesson there for me as an adult. Anyway, so this is the format. So we've created the same format for all of our interviews. So what makes you laugh? What words describe what you were thinking about when you laugh? How does laughing make you feel? Who can you share laughter with? And write or draw a laughing note for someone. And we've done heaps of these laughing notes as well. It's really cool. So we then decided we keep the same format because we really like the format of sharing the interviews with different people. So you'll see all our different interviews now. And you'll see, so we did the kindness interview, so the exact same format of all the other interviews, but just exploring the topic of kindness. So what does kindness look like and sound like and feel like for you? And you'll notice that we purposefully also brought in the elements of well-being, particularly around feeling and thinking, because that's a really important conversation to have when we're feeling and thinking about how we connect to ourselves. So there was a kindness one, the thankful interview. That one's a great one to do as well, because we're always thankful for our day and what in our lives that we're thankful for. The love interview, this one's a lot of fun to have too. When I did this one in a group, it was so much fun. So what are things that you love to do, and who do you love being with, and what are you thinking or feeling about when you're doing those things that you totally love doing? And it gives people an opportunity to explore exactly what they love doing. So they might not have had the opportunity before to connect with what they've actually loved doing or thinking about it. So this gives them the opportunity to do that. We had a lot of fun with this one. This is the strengths interview, because we all have different strengths. And this is a really great one, because some of the young people that I work with don't actually realize what their strengths are. So it's really a great one to be able to bring out and connect with, that we all have strengths. And you'll be surprised how many young people haven't yet made that connection for themselves. So this one I always feature heavily with my workshops with young people, so as we can have some great discussions around what our strengths are. And it's great when we see them write their strengths notes, because we sometimes, particularly this one's been a really good one to do, because we sometimes label their strengths for them. But when you give them the opportunity to go into the activity, and by the time they get to writing the strengths notes, they've come up with strengths that I've never thought of before. So what we have the opportunity to do is to bring creativity into the room. So just by having the conversations, doing the interview, we're actually able to get them to tap into understanding who they are, create the experience for them, and then them really connect with their own strengths. And it's really, really exciting, and it's magic when that happens within the workshops. It's really cool. This is one of my favorites, because I come from the lens of curiosity and creativity. So, and this is one part of my PACE model, so which is playfulness, acceptance, curiosity, because it's important to be curious about things and to get young people to be curious about where their life can go, what's happening for them, and just be in that curious mode. Because when we're in curious and creativity mode, of course, that's when we create. That's when magic happens. And we know that when we've been going through and creating when I went through and created this, I got to day 7. And that's when we hit our curiosity and creativity day. And it was interesting at that point, because I had not planned any of the content. We had just decided this is what we were going to do, because it was an important time for us to understand wellbeing. So while we had our ideas, when we got to day 7 and we really started looking at curiosity and creativity, it was interesting, because a lot of creativity actually flowed at that point in time, which was cool. But children are not used to understanding the language of curiosity, because sometimes we don't engage with them to say, what are you curious about? What are you thinking about? But when we engage young people in the language of curiosity, it's amazing what they create. If you go into curiosity with them, it's a stepping stone to creativity. So which is really, really exciting. And they automatically go there from curiosity to creativity. I always love it. It's great. So we kept the same format again, because another really important aspect of wellbeing is to challenge yourselves in some way. So we did the challenge interview next, and we created lots and lots of different challenge, which was bringing in the playfulness and the curiosity element for us as well, and also accepting. Because when we accept a challenge, we take on the challenge, we commit to the challenge, and we follow through on the challenge, which is really great. And we learn heaps of stuff within that challenge mode for us as well. So challenge is a really great one. And we have so much fun with this one, because once again, we get into that curiosity and creativity mode as well. So, and young people love to be challenged. They love nothing better than you say to them, go and prove or disprove me. I could be totally wrong, who knows? But, challenge them, because they totally love it, and they thrive and they rise up to the challenge. And then their well-being is enhanced, because they feel good about that challenge for them. And if they get stuck in the challenge, that's perfectly okay as well, because we go back to curiosity and creativity when they're in that challenge phase as well. So it's really cool. And you just get so much engagement. This is a Great one for me too. I totally love it, because when we've done the challenge, it's time to celebrate. So to enhance our well-being, it's really important to have a celebration. So that way we celebrate and understand and we feel good. So it raises our well-being, it raises our energy, and it puts us on that celebration vibration. And then once again, where do we go? Curiosity and creativity. And we all know that we have an energy within us, and it's important to raise our energy vibration. And that's exactly what celebration does. And the young people love it when we celebrate their successes. Of course, the next one has to be a success interview, because it's great when we get into those success conversations. What does success actually look like for people? And especially for young people, because success is such a large word. We all want success, but it's such a large word. So it's really great when we have the success conversations, because what does success look like, sound like, and feel like for me? Because of course it's different for everybody. And it's really important to have those success conversations, bringing that creativity into the room again and really getting them to stop and think what success means. Now, I work with young children from 7 years of age, and they know what success looks like. When they get that feeling of success, they thrive. It's really exciting. We did do some fun things then. So from all of those interviews that you can do, we actually turned them into chatboxes. Does anybody know what chatboxes are? Did they play with them when they were children? Yeah, perfect. So this is what a chatbox looks like. So what you actually do is actually put all of the, so from your interviews, you can, or anything, so you can put positive thinking in there. You could do your success interviews, pick your keywords, and then you go and play the chatbox with people. So, and that's just a fun way of taking the learning and sharing and celebrating it with others and having a lot of fun at the same time. And it was always a childhood favourite game of mine, and my grandkids really love playing it. So we incorporated the chatboxes into it. This is the one that we actually started off with, which is connecting through our senses, because one of the things that I do with young people is I get them to explicitly connect with themselves through understanding where the oxygen is in their body. Now, I talk about breathing in a very different way to young people, because with young people, I need to connect with their logical mind, because that's how we explicitly teach breathing to them. They need to know exactly what it looks like, sounds like, and feels like. They need to know where their diaphragm is, how to activate their diaphragm, and they need to know where that oxygen and how that oxygen is actually floating through your body. So instead of talking about breathing, what I actually talk about is oxygen. So I do a lot of neuro-based sensory programs with them when we get to this part as well. But the hand one's a great one to teach young people to do the breathing. So, and then connecting with our senses, because once again, the more we connect into our senses, the more we bring them into that mindfulness space. And we can play lots of fun games with them to get them into that mindfulness and that sensory role. When they really do connect. And we did this one inside, outside. We went to the beach and did this one. We had a lot of fun when we did this one on the Facebook Lives as well. So 5 things you can touch, 4 things that you can see, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Now you can mix up those elements. So you don't have to keep that recipe the exact same way. And we mix them up all the time because we want to engage with our senses differently. So when we teach young people about engaging with our senses differently, they start to learn and tune into their senses where they might not have had that opportunity before. So it's always great when we connect through our senses. This is a favorite one of mine, which is connecting through the energy of words. In every workshop that I do, regardless whether it's adults in the room, children in the room, I always do this one, because words can increase our energy, center our energy, or lower our energy. And I do this one too with teachers in classrooms, because words can put us either into a thinking space or an emotional space. Now, where do we want our children to be in the classroom? We want them to be in a thinking space. So therefore we need to be mindful of our words. So this is a great one to actually connect to the word and listen to the word, because words, can either raise or center or lower our energy. And it's be mindful too about the words that we use with people, that we use our words in a purposeful way. So we had a lot of fun with that. That's just a favorite one of mine. And this one we had a lot of fun with as well, because energy, music can also increase our energy, decrease our energy, or center our energy. So of course, when we're in that weird energy, in that weird space, We can use like the Taylor Swift one, the Shake It Off. Now that's a great one. If you get into that space that you don't want to be, you just don't know why you're in that mood. You just don't know what that space is all about for you. But to get up and raise their energy and really shake it off is really, really great. So when I work with young people, we do our playlist exactly in this way. So we get them to understand the energy of music, and it's a really great fun one to do, and the kids really engage with us along the way. So by the time we finish this part of the course or my workshop, they've created their own playlist, and they just love doing that part of it. So because what we're actually doing is connecting to the music, because we either want to go deeper into the experience that we're having to understand it a lot more, and music can do that for us, or it can bring us out of a space. So music, and I use music in so many different ways when I work with young people, because sometimes I still want them to connect to the experience. If an experience isn't finished with them at that point in time, I want them to connect with it more. We use music to do that. If I need to explore something with young people, I look for music together with them, and we explore what we're exploring through music. So it takes them on a different journey, but it helps them to understand and connect with themselves and what's happening for them. This is when my granddaughter came up all by myself. So I need to copyright this to her, because this isn't my work at all. I said to her, I'd like to teach young people about problem solving through our Wellbeing Facebook Lives. And she says, you know, you do the car analogy. And I'm going, no, I've got no clue what you're talking about. Explain it to me. So she's created this one. So what she came up with was that if we have a problem, I use a different one when I work with young people, but I'm starting to use this one now because I really like where she's going with this. And she calls it Challenge to Success. Now she's 10 years of age. So she decides when that she has a problem that's like driving a car and you pick a different road to go on. So if you listen to the Facebook Live, she explains that to you. So she has a problem and she decided she'd choose the middle road, which was the straight road here, but she had a flat tire. So therefore she needed to phone a friend to go and get a flat to help her out to solve the problem so she could get to a destination. So the other road, there might have been a speed bump in that destination. So she's in a car and she's hit the speed bump and she needs to problem solve what she's going to do at that point in time. So she came up with a whole pile of different scenarios about, you know, sometimes that you have to stop, you have to slow down, you have to understand and connect with your thoughts and your emotions to work out what's actually happening for you at that point in time. So that way, when you hit that speed bump, it's not such a big speed bump. And one thing that she has learned, which I learned, but I didn't learn till later in my life, but I teach this to my 7-year-olds now, is that we learn from our experiences. So she knows that when she hits those speed bumps or when she goes into those detours, that she's going to learn something from that process, which is really, really cool. And she's always going to get to her destination. It just might be slower, it might go around the longer ways, but she's going to reach her destination and she's learned from her destination as she goes along. And then of course we created another interview that goes with that. So we created a process so we can really connect with our challenge. And I call it a challenge and not a problem, and so did she. And I really changed my thinking around that. So, you know, stop and connect with the challenge, right, or draw the ideas, because we need to understand what's happening in that space. Do you need a passenger in the car to help you? So it's really important that young people get the understanding is they sometimes need help and it's okay to ask for that help. And then we just came up with a daily wellbeing checklist as well, just so you can go through and check out. It's just a checklist of all the activities that we've done throughout the time. But it's just a great way of just being able to check in with their well-being. So there you go. Thank you so much. And I've noticed there were some things coming up in the chat box, but I wasn't going to multitask today. But thank you so much for doing that. I'll go and check some of those now. I just can't quite work out where my chat button actually is. Chat, maybe it's this one. Any questions? Yeah, the kids today.
To say congratulations. That is a sensational piece of work.
It's a fabulous work that it is for adults or for children. It's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and we use it, and it's just great talking with kids. I mean, that's where my passion is. My passion is creating the next generation and educating the next generation, because the more they understand and become fully and self-aware, I mean, their generation's going to be faster than us. As I say, when I do my presentations, you know, when I went to school, I wrote on slates. You know, we had the slates and the pencils and the rods. You remember that era? Then from there, my kids went to school. They at least had pen and paper, so that was pretty cool. When my grandkids went to school, they took an iPad and a laptop in preschool. So what is their generation going to take when they get to school? Which is why I just totally love connecting with the young people, to being able to educate them, understand what we learned as adults, and teach them from 7 years of age. And I've created lots of mathematical formulas and different ways of having conversations. So this wellbeing book is a part of way of having a conversation with young people. So yeah, that's my passion. I could talk about it all day. Sorry. Any more questions?
Can you I think it has a broad ranging age group, but what predominantly was the age group that you set this particular piece for?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I have used it since I've created this. We didn't really have an age group in mind, in all honesty, when it was first being created. It was about educating everybody around wellbeing. Since I've done this, I've done it in schools as professional development with teachers, and we did the interviews. We engaged with all the activities. The posters are all around in every classroom for teachers to have a wellbeing conversation. The book's actually, you can actually make it into a flip book. So it's actually, when I've actually going to put it through the printers, it's actually going to have a hard cover board at the back, so you can just flip it over so you can look at each activity. I've done it in group workshops with teenagers since I've created it, and I've also done it with families. So it does actually have quite a broad range, and I know my friends have taken it into their coaching businesses as well, to have those conversations with their clientele. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's not where I had started creating, but I think it really does have some great applications across the board.
Fantastic, really good.
Thank you. It's awesome. And I'm selling it for $9.95.
Congratulations, Lynn. It's sensational. Absolutely sensational.
Thank you.
Great work. Great work.
Can you post your link again so we can promote it? Because I know there's lots of, like you said, I love the idea, particularly from a family basis, that mum and dad take kids through this to understand emotions, and I just love it. I think it's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is. Yes, and please share the link so we can share it again. I've already shared it during the holidays when
thank you.
But if we can share it again, because it's not finished. I mean, they're not all back. There's this weekend still, and that can go anywhere, anytime. For everyone, because really there's no age range. I mean, just to talk about the emotions, open up a conversation straight up, and
that's exactly right. And I've had some great conversations with families, because I work with families online during my courses and things like that. And this is just one of those elements that I've now added, because predominantly what I do teach children is I do teach children and families how to connect to self-mastery. So I explicitly teach them, and I do this whole class as well in schools, I explicitly teach them how to connect to their, I teach it from a skill perspective, because when we master a skill, we can get to self-mastery, which is how we make the link to self-mastery. So I teach the skill of energy, the skill of thoughts, the skill of emotions, to understand the experiences that we have. So, and I had the opportunity to work with some Year 7 boys back in the day, and the universe presented me with 6 Year 7 boys, and people wanted them to have positive experiences. They didn't want them to understand the negative stuff. I thought, we need to play around with that. So I created some mathematical formulas to get them to understand it. To understand their emotions and their thoughts, the experiences that they're having. So that's my larger course that I do, and I explicitly teach it. So, and I don't just assume, I take them into that creativity space. So I have families with me online of a night time, and we go through my 5-week program. And now this is going to be added into that. So it's really cool to add another umbrella. But, it purely came about. This is interesting for me as well, because it purely came about because my granddaughter was interested in doing the lives. We were interested in doing COVID-19, and we picked the topic of well-being without actually redefining what that was going to look like for us. We just allowed to be in that creative space. So when I was working with some young people this week, I told them that. I said I had no preconceived idea what I was going to create. I just started creating, just knowing that I'd picked a topic. So we're actually doing that now in the workshops with the teenagers. So what I'm doing with them now is just taking them through the process that I actually do did to create this book. So they've all picked their own topic now. They're all creating content over 7 days. We've shortened the amount of days for them. And they're just taking their own topics now into a different process. So just actually using the process that I went through this now with young people, they can actually now use that process within what their own domains are. So I was pretty excited about that as well. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I really want you to come to the next children's retreat. You'll be amazing.
Love to.
Yes, me too, because we have so much content, and it's so important to give them a chance to create and to express themselves, because a lot of children, they don't know how to do it. So
absolutely, and you just need to provide that space of creativity for them and put them into that curious space, and it's amazing what they can create. So it's really awesome. I mean, that's just my passion of working with young people. So, but yeah,
it shows. Thank you.
It's
so
awesome.
Much. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much.
Great.
We can just stay online a little bit longer. I'm just going to stop. Thank you so much for that presentation. It's absolutely awesome for any kind of age. I really strongly recommend it to everyone.
Terrific. Thank you.